Today is International Day of the Girl Child. International Day of the Girl Child is an annual and internationally recognized observance on October the 11th that empowers girls and amplifies their voices. This year, the world is commemorating the 10th anniversary of the International Day of the Girl. International Day of the Girl Child acknowledges the importance, power and potential of adolescent girls by encouraging the opening up of more opportunities for them. At the same time, this day is designated to eliminate gender-based challenges that little girls face all around the world, including child marriages, poor learning opportunities, violence and discrimination. The theme for the 2022 celebration is Our Time is Now, Our Rights, Our Future. Girl child rights advocate Hauwa Mustapha joins us now to speak on what the International Day of the Girl Child means and how it should be commemorated. Good to have you on Newsday, and straight into the conversation. Do you feel that International Day of the Girl Child is achieving any goals, any of the goals that it has set out to?
Yeah, thank you very much for welcoming me. Indeed, it is. At least, if there's nothing at all, it has brought to the fore the importance, of focusing on a section, on a very important section of the community or of the world population, and so even to that extent, that's a lot, and it has also forced, people, policy makers to also pay attention to understand that any policy you are putting together, any program you are putting together must find a way to also accommodate the issues of a girl child. So to that extent, to the extent that it has focused attention, on the girl child, and that it is also forcing a review of policies to include the interests of the girl child. To that extent, I believe that it has achieved a lot.
I'm really interested in the theme of this year. Our time is now, our rights, our future. Can you tell us what informed that theme as a choice?
Now, having brought the attention of the world to the importance of not neglecting a substantial portion of global population, then the next thing is also to understand that it's not just enough that we now understand or we now see that they are very important, that they are to development, they're a very important segment of the population that you cannot neglect. Then the thing is, what else? What do we want to do after remembering or focusing on the importance of the girl child? What we want to achieve, or what specifically we want to see being done, is to understand that the girl child is not just a person, but that the girl child is being focused upon because she is a part of a world that also has a right to accessing opportunities or facilities, opportunities for development, opportunities to also be part of the process of governance, to have her voice, out there, to have her participate in the process of communal developments, societal development, even global developments, as it were. So for that reason, it's a right. So we're talking the importance of this theme to now emphasize on the rights of the girl child is to say that she has a right as a person, as a bona fide citizen of the world, who is impacted directly and indirectly by policies and programs, to also have a say, in how programs and how policies that affect her as a person, as a citizen, as a member of the community is being established, and how the programs are also being implemented. It's her voice, it's her impact, it's her person. She has a right to be part of that process. She has a right for her voice to be heard, for her feelings to be known. So that's what the rights are all about. That it's not just enough. We don't want the girl child's issue to be we don't have the issue. We don't want the issues of the girl child to be developed by some other person who does not feel her pain, who does not feel her situation, who is not in her position, who does not know exactly what she's going through. We don't want the theory, we don't want theories around girl child to build into policies and programs. We want the person who feels it, who is a victim, you know, of issues, of abuse of her rights, of exclusion from the process of policy formulation and implementation, who is abused even in the process, you know, of policy formulation, in the process of even the process of development, to have her voice heard, to sit on the table, to understand, for her to speak to the issues that concern her. So the right, I think, in fact, there is no time that is better than now, in a time globally where the girl child has become so vulnerable to politically, has become so vulnerable economically, has become so vulnerable socially, that she seems to be like almost like a scum, you know, in the society. There is no time better than now to emphasize that the girl child is not just a person, but more importantly, she's a person who has a right to have her voice heard, to have her feelings expressed, to participate, to say how she feels about policies that are also churned out in her name or in her person or for her group, to also have a say about how these things affect her and what she wants to see being done or not being done to her. So that's why the rights issue becomes very, very important, because it is about how exactly does she benefit, you know, how exactly does she feel, what are the impacts of policies on her, beyond policymakers or adults, you know, theorizing about what they think should be done to the girl child or should not be done to the girl child. It is important that you have the voice of the girl child on the table.
That's right.
In the process of churning out policies and implementing program.
Okay, and you know, while we're talking about the inclusion of these voices and the various challenges that the girl child is facing, you know, you can look at this from a global perspective, but we have to look at it locally. And when you look at it from a Nigerian and an African context, those challenges are, you know, they're larger than from the global perspective. Now, this year, one of the key themes is digital generation, our generation. Is access to internet and access to the digital age a priority for us? And should it be a priority for us right now for the girl child in Nigeria? Or should we continue to focus on child marriages, access to healthcare, access to basic education before we start pushing the agenda of getting girls included in the digital generation?
Yeah, you see, the digital generation, fortunately, is something that permeates every aspect of our life. You cannot exclude the digital world from education. You cannot exclude it from the economy. You cannot even exclude it from the process of even enhancing culture and tradition. The digital world has permeated almost every aspect of being now. And so it is therefore very important to say that you also are careful to ensure that you do not exclude the girl child from, you know, from enjoying, you know, that process or that the importance of digital or having access to digital life as it's going to enhance her education and her well-being as a whole, her health and everything else. So, like you said, education is very important, but education is also a part, you know, is also incorporated into the digital world. Digital world is about everything. It's about economy. It's about culture. You know, it's about the way we even live our lives, the way we eat, the way we decide, the way we think. So, digital world is everything about development today. It's everything about where we are going to tomorrow. The girl child is a significant part of this world's population. So it is important that that digital world is also brought to make sure that it's also brought to the space of that girl child to ensure that she is also empowered to access the opportunity of the digital world through education, you know, through access to health, through her everyday life as a person, as a member of a society, as a family, as a girl, as a daughter, you know, as a sister, you know, as a pupil, as a student. It's important that in everything that she does, both in the public and in the private, that the digital world is made accessible for the girl child. The digital world is not something that exists on its own, you know, in a vacuum. It connects to development, to the whole facets of development. And so it's important that for us in Nigeria, for instance, when we're talking about the digital world, you know, because there's also costs attached to it. You know, it's economical in the sense that there's cost attached to it. It also enhances, you know, even access to employment and even to development of businesses, entrepreneurship, and the access to employment and so on and so forth. So it's important that it is done in such a way that the girl child has access to it. Therefore, when you talk about education, when you are designing a policy on education, for instance, you just don't look at the chalk and the classroom. You just don't look at the access of the girl child to just go to school. It is also important to make sure that the girl goes to school to understand, to be aware that the developing world that we are, I mean, the new world or the emerging world that we are into today, the emerging world that is influenced by science and technology and digital communication, that she understands it and that she understands how it connects to herself as a person and to what she is doing or whom she wants to be tomorrow. So it's very well connected to her life. It's connected to everything around her. And we must make sure that it is accessible to her in terms of reach, in terms of affordability, in terms of skill, ability to also use it and to also benefit from the use of the digital world.
Well said, Hauwa. But one thing that does stand out when we talk about the rights of the girl child is, if we're looking at it from an internal aspect as a country, we do not have child rights being implemented or executed properly. I have several cases in mind. Those that come to mind are Ochanya Ogbanje, who had a video testimony of being raped, and that case has been swept under the carpet. We have Karen Hapuk, who was also allegedly, you know, assaulted in her school and died as a result of that. So when it comes to protecting the rights of children to begin with, we haven't even got that right. How much more when it's time to focus on the girl child? So don't we have a lot to do when it comes to actually protecting the girl child, not even from the digital dangers or opportunities, but from what's happening at home in terms of our own policies?
Yeah, you see, the opportunities are there. When we talk about the issues of rights, I mean, let's look at the Federal Constitution of Nigeria, for instance. There is nothing that particularly, you know, explicitly, you know, denies the girl child of access to basic needs of life. However, what stands as the greatest challenge to the girl child is the social culture itself. And unfortunately, it is that social culture that permeates into how policies are developed, or even where the policies and laws are there, how they are accessed and how they are utilized or how they are interpreted. The girl child is very vulnerable. Even before she is born, she is already defined around, her gender is already defined. And so there's already an exclusion around the girl child, what she should be like and what she should not be like. The digital world, or the world of technology, unfortunately, is such that it's seen as a boy's world, you know. The sciences, technology is seen to, it appears to be seen as the life of a boy or the life of a man. And so for the girl child, you know, even those things that her gender has constructed for her, and unfortunately this gender construction hasn't got anything to do with law, neither does it have anything to do with her rights. It has everything to do with her socialization process, and most of the socialization process starts from our homes. You know, when the girl child, even before the girl child is born, once a parent knows that, okay, I'm going to have a girl, maybe in a few months' time, what the parents are shopping for, they are shopping for pinkish, the color around her is pink. The toys are soft, you know, and everything around her is going to be soft. And even the color pink itself, you know, if you go into for those who attach characterization of meanings to colors, the color pink signifies everything that the girl child is seen to be. You know, it's soft, it is sweet, it is vulnerable, it is effeminate, that is, you know, it is soft. lot. It's everything, you know, it's nothing hard. It's everything to be taken care of, to be taken as a jelly, like an egg, to be pampered, you know, and that is even before the girl child is born. And then when she is born, the process of her development also follows, you know, advances towards that direction, that she is soft, she is a child, you know, technology is not in your place. You go to the kitchen, you know, science and technology is not for you. Piloting is not for you. Rather than go for medicine, probably go to do nursing, you know. You cannot drive a truck. Rather than drive a truck, you know, drive a car. You know, even the car, there are cars that are feminine, there are cars that are not feminine, and so on and so forth. So that psychological, you know, processing, you know, that psychological development that has already defined, unfortunately, the gender of the girl child. And until we are able to move out, you know, reconstruct that gender of a girl child, even when the rights are there, even when the policies are there and the laws are there, it becomes very difficult for the girl child to access them or even make any very critical use of those rights and those policies, because there is a deep constructed psychological thing around within her system, you know, that makes her she's not prepared, she has not been empowered to see those rights as hers. The right to education, and not just to education, to go to school and study anything you want to study, so long as you have the interest, so long as your brain, you know, can also serve it for you. She is debarred because at some point she's told, why do you want to go into all that education? Because at the end of the day, you are going to end up in a man's house. So the psychological thinking that I'm going to end up in a man's house anyway, what do I need all of these things for? You want to buy a computer for a child, for instance. There's always a tendency that the boy child gets the computer before the girl child. At best you say, okay, probably you use your brother's own, and so on and so forth. So that deep psychological thing hasn't got anything to do with laws. It hasn't got anything to do with policies. Of course, those who produce the policies, those who produce the laws, are also people who are producing laws and policies with a mindset that the girl child does not have access to this. So for that reason, these policies and laws are not necessarily anti the girl child. However, because they are gender blind, because they do not think through the specific needs or the specific peculiarities of the girl child, they do not make special provision to an emphasis that a girl child must be seen, you know, and must be supported to ensure that she accesses these rights, these privileges, and that she's also mainstreamed or integrated into certain policies and programs. So it's not so much of the laws, you know, because even the laws that are there that are not necessarily discriminatory, how much of an advantage have they been to the girl child? We need to go back to our socialization process. We need to go back to change our policies, our culture and the tradition that keeps the girl child that makes the girl child a kind of second-class citizen to the boy child. And because while she does that, that is a very critical age. Once we are able to construct or once we are succeeding in constructing a gender for the girl child, it puts her in a box. And that social box, that social culture box, means that she cannot expand, she cannot go beyond, she cannot look outside the box. Meanwhile, there are bigger opportunities outside the box. So we need to do a reconstruction of the gender that we attach to the girl child, so that she's able to move beyond the box, so that she understands that the world is very wide for her, the space is open, and then she is also able that all those opportunities that are out there are not restricted to her gender. All the challenges and restrictions that seem to be on the path of the girl child accessing those facilities, those opportunities, we need to engage them. We need special policies and special laws, you know, that enables the girl to access her rights. The right to education is free. The right to education, the right to health is free. It does not come out with a flat or with a defined discrimination against a girl child. However, there are certain challenges around her gender that has been unfortunately constructed by her by the socialization process, by the culture, that hinders her, you know, that creates an obstacle for her to access those rights. So the rights are there, the policies are there, the rules are there, but the woman's, the culture, the construction of the girl child is the greatest, you know, undoing to the girl child.
That's right. All right. So thank you. Thank you kindly for that. Hauwa Mustapha, girl child rights advocate, speaking very passionately on the topic of the International Day of the Girl Child.